Hey guys, I actually wanted to make a really quick video response to a comment that I just received from someone telling me that they think that I'm an ENFP and not an ENFJ. And I just wanted to address this topic for a minute because I think that a lot of times ENFJs and ENFPs mistype as each other because, one, every personality type, every person, no matter who you are, we really cling on to our identity and what we want to be, and we accept the descriptions of ourselves that fit that identity. And so I'm very familiar how when people are mistyped, myself included, that when people are mistyped, they really cling to their reality and the way they see themselves way more than what anyone else will ever said. And so, that being said, no matter what type I am, everyone is going to be personally clinging to their definitions that they see themselves. But here's why I'm not an ENFP. One, I really want to be an ENFP. If you ever see me exemplifying ENFP traits, that's not who I am at my core. That's who I am whenever I'm feeling incredibly happy and incredibly creative. But wait, no. Well, whenever I'm in the flow state, I'm an ENFJ. That's what I am. But let me just clarify for a second that I believe that we all have one type that we do not change. Like, we have a core personality type that we stick with indefinitely throughout our entire lives. But I do believe that people go through phases, and I do believe that everyone uses every function. And so whenever someone's in a different mood or going through a different experience, then they might be showcasing more of functions that they don't typically use. Like, for example, I know that I've been using a lot more introverted feeling than I have ever before until the past couple of years, because I've been pretty depressed actually, and so I've been trying to dig into my latent FI and really address my feelings. But if you know me, you know that my entire life has been geared toward helping others before myself, and never dwelling, never moping, like never getting butthurt. Like, I just don't do that. I just keep moving forward. Like, and this is one distinct thing to notice between ENFJs and ENFPs, is that they're both very emotional, but ENFJs will express their emotions and talk to you about what they are because they're external processors. But ENFJs, what they really are trying to do is solve their emotion as fast as possible so that they can just then move on and not feel bad about it. ENFPs seem to be more content with dwelling in their emotions and moping and wallowing a little bit and just waiting for it to go away. ENFJs, you'll find, are trying to solve, ENFJs are like, what's wrong with me? What did I do wrong? What do I need to do? Oh my goodness. And ENFPs will be like, yeah, this just happened, and then this happened, haha, my life, right? That's kind of the way that they'll complain. They'll make a self-deprecating joke and sort of laugh it off, but inside they're not doing so hot. But they won't be as direct about what they're feeling. So that's one way to differentiate. And I'll also tell you that since I work in a creative field, I'm very familiar with the difference of P and J, and I'm aware of how my J-ness holds me back creatively. And so, in order to feel less stubborn and not rigid, but what's the right word? If I have a goal, I'm going for it, and it's really hard to change my mind. Like, I'm very much a one-track mind. I really hate distractions, and it seems like ENFPs with extroverted intuition they really thrive in multiple opportunities. I need to pick one and go with it. Whenever I don't have focus, I feel like I'm not being creative. And honestly, a lot with this channel, it might seem really scrambled. I don't like it. Like, that's not how I like to work. I like to work in a really regimented, like, way, like a consistent way. And I like to just pick one thing and be really good at it, other than being a jack of all trades. But, gosh, what was I saying? Yeah, I work in a creative industry, and so I notice how P's, what they bring to the table, and honestly, I really envy the ideas that P's have, and they seem like they're a never-ending fountain of ideas. And I can relate to that sometimes, but I'm really a lot better at refining ideas and implementing them than I am being like, what about this? What about that? What about this? And ENFPs, you'll find, are the types that are always coming up with something new, coming up with a new opportunity, and they have trouble implementing the ideas that they already have. And I'll admit, like, I'm kind of in a very jumbled phase of my life. I'm trying to let go of my perfectionism. And see, this is a very natural ENFJ thing. ENFJs are extremely perfectionistic, and they're their own worst enemy. And they really beat themselves up in their head a lot. And now, I know you might be thinking that ENFPs also can beat themselves up in their head, but ENFPs aren't really mean to themselves in the way that ENFJs are. ENFPs might feel shame, or they might feel unworthy, and they might mope, and they might not be in the best mood, and they might not really love themselves all the time, but they don't have that introverted thinking that ENFJs have that is extremely critical of themselves. So yeah, look at, one way to really tell the difference between an ENFP and an ENFJ is to look at their inferior function. So for an ENFJ, their inferior function is introverted thinking, and that is the ENFP's blind spot. And so if you see introverted thinking prevalent, then it's an ENFJ. And if you see introverted sensing prevalent, which is the fourth function of an ENFP, then they're definitely an ENFP and not an ENFJ, because introverted sensing is my blind spot. So what you'll find a lot of times, ENFPs get really stuck on a moment of the past, and they'll replay it in their head time and time again and wonder, like, they'll replay memories that mean something to them, and or like an embarrassing moment, they'll replay it in their head. Honestly, as soon as something happens, I kind of forget about it and move on. Like, kind of to a fault in some ways. Like, I don't really reflect on the past. I'm always thinking about what's next. And my head is in the clouds in the same way that an ENFP would be. But it's very much thinking about, the future and how I'm going to organize my life and the goals that I want to accomplish. And, also, the reason why I feel like I have such a clear understanding of ENFP and ENFJ is because my best friend's an ENFP who's also interested in personality types, and for about 3 years now, we have really dove into the functions, and we fight all the time. Like, I'm telling you, I know the good and the bad about ENFPs, and I know what I envy about them, and I know what I hate about them. So I've seen the functions in action, how they butt heads in so many ways, because of my friend. And I would really like to explore explaining these things. Maybe I'll even do a series. Let me know in the comments if you think that'd be interesting. If I did a series about how ENFJs and ENFPs use each function. Because I'll tell you just super quick, with extrovert intuition, ENFPs love feeling like they're in a dream world, and that they're in their own little world, because they feel like it's this bubble that protects them, and they enjoy that. ENFJs will use extroverted intuition too, but they'll use it for brainstorming activities only occasionally if they're trying to get something that they want. ENFPs will use extroverted feeling when they feel obligated, or whenever they are using it as a means to an end. Like ENFPs, when they use extroverted feeling and they like open the door for someone and they're like asking people like small talk, they feel really uncomfortable doing that. They're doing it because they have this thing, I want to be your friend, or I want you to give me the job, or they have this sort of reason why they're being nice to you. They aren't just going to be nice to you unless they, well, I mean, I'm not saying that ENFPs aren't nice. They might just have it a rule where I'm going to be nice to everyone. But ENFJs, you see, okay, ENFPs will not be stuck in the depths of extroverted feeling in the way that ENFJs will. Both types are going to be concerned with what others think and like emotional and those things, but ENFJs will really put others before them. They will forget their own value. And ENFPs don't really forget their own value. Like, even when ENFPs are really depressed, they think that they are the unluckiest person in the world. They still feel like special, or like in some regard. Like they never, okay, like what I'm trying to say is that ENFPs at their extreme, they either think that they're the best, most special person in the world, or they think that they're the most unlucky, ugliest, stupidest person in the world. I mean, obviously when you're healthy, you have a healthier perspective, but that's where ENFPs seem really volatile, because they'll sometimes really, really think that they're awesome, and then they'll sometimes think they're really awful. But for me as an ENFJ, I don't really ever feel like I'm the best of the best, or I'm the worst of the worst. When I'm good, I feel like I'm a part of a community. And when I'm upset, I feel like the world's going on without me and that I'm irrelevant. Like, I never feel like, I don't know. So I guess I'm saying is that extroverted feeling that ENFJs use, this is our reflex. Like, thinking about other people before ourselves, that's our reflex. It's something that I had to learn to value myself. That doesn't really come naturally to me. Like, what comes naturally to me is expressing my emotions, but what doesn't come naturally is getting what I want. Like, an example I use a lot of the time is if there's a group of people together and everyone's trying to figure out what to eat, an ENFJ would just be like, I don't know, what do you guys want? Maybe they're really craving something, but they're going to try and please everyone else. Like, for example, I'm considering like going vegan, and I can't just, okay, an ENFP would declare, I am vegan now, guys. And then they would try it, and they'd probably fail. But then they'd try it again, and I mean, they'd probably get there. But they would declare it, and they would not care. Them being different from the crowd would be good. They want to be different. As an ENFJ, I tried to go vegan, but I just literally couldn't do it whenever I lived with my family. I didn't want them to feel bad if I wanted to eat something different. And see, this is where extroverted feeling really can hold you back in a way that ENFJs have this problem that ENFPs do not. ENFJs will be really held back by what others want for them. And this is why, like, you see ENFJs are similar to ESFJs, which are often really seen as, they're often really stereotyped as sheep or like basic bitches or something, which is not always true. But extroverted feeling is the function that is focused on what everyone else is doing. It's very hard. Even when ENFJs feel like they're special, or that they're alone, or that they don't fit in, they're still gonna try and be like accepted by the crowd. And that's not like, ENFPs like really take pride in being different than the crowd. So that's one thing to look at, is how do they use extroverted feeling, and which function are they beholden to? Because like I said, I use extroverted intuition for brainstorming activities. I use it when I'm really anxious. I use extroverted intuition when I'm extremely stressed, and I use it whenever I'm trying to make my content better as like the cherry on top. But it's not what drives me, and it's not what I'm beholden to. ENFPs will feel like they are stuck in extroverted intuition. They'll like have their little dream world that they feel like they cannot get out of, no matter what. And ENFJs are good at like going and like having fun and doing something to get rid of their fears. And they tend to be like a little bit riskier in some ways, in some regards. Okay, I'm about to parallel park. I don't know if this is a good idea right now, but I'm gonna do it. Okay. Okay, this is probably a bad idea. I'm gonna wrap up this video before I do the complete parallel park. But, okay. Comment below if you would like me to make more videos about how to tell two different types apart whenever they're similar. I realize I talk a lot about the stuff. I have not done real descriptions. Descriptions for each type are in the works. I've been writing about them personally. That's one thing that is such an ENFJ thing, I will tell you, is not quite an ENFP thing, is that I'm obsessed with quality, that I'm not going to say anything, I'm not going to share anything unless it's absolutely perfect. That's introverted thinking right there. I don't want to say anything unless I know that I'm right, unless I know that when I share it, it's going to be helpful, and that I want it to be my best work. I want to put my best foot forward. ENFPs, they tend to just be a lot more go with the flow, and they just do it, and then they learn from their mistakes. And I really envy that about ENFPs. Like, me saying that I'm not an ENFP, that's nothing against like ENFPs. Like, I guess when people say that, I sometimes even view it as a compliment, like, oh, that's great. Like, they actually think that I'm that I go with the flow. Oh wow, it actually seems like I'm patient. It actually seems like I let go sometimes. If you knew me, if you're in my own head, you would know that I'm a J. Like, I tested as a P multiple times, but like, I have to know what I'm doing. Like, what am I saying? If I don't know what I'm doing within the next hour, then like, that's not good. Like, I like plan my whole day and those sort of things. And I think that it's cool that in my videos, maybe I don't come off as stubborn as I actually am. Maybe. Maybe you think that ENFPs can be stubborn too, but they can't, but it's different. But anyway, I guess I'm saying is that it's partially a compliment that someone could say I'm an ENFP, but although I appreciate the feedback, whenever people accuse me of being a different type, it kind of bugs me, because it makes me feel like you're saying that I don't know myself. And I take a lot of pride in knowing myself, and maybe that's kind of how everyone is. Everyone takes pride in knowing themselves, but for me, whenever I feel like it's like this is something I've studied. Like, I know that there have been other people that have said that they have studied things, but have changed their type. I know that's true, but think about it. Like, there are people that have been on YouTube, and as soon as they figured out type, they just jumped on YouTube like a month after they learned about it and started acting like they know. Just for the record here, I've been learning about this for 5 years, and because of my inferior introverted thinking, what I do is I doubt myself constantly, and nothing comes through my mouth unless it has been filtered through my introverted intuition and introverted thinking years, like a long time. So if you would have told me within the first or second year of learning type that maybe I was a different type, I probably would be like, you know what, I'm so dumb that, like, you're probably right, like, let me learn about it. But for me, whenever the finished product actually is out there, whenever I actually am sharing, like, it's something that has been gone through a long process to come out. Other types that are ENFPs, they tend to just sort of wing it, and I kind of am really uncomfortable winging it. I don't know if you could tell, like, I've been trying to wing it a little more. But anyway, thanks for watching this video. I really appreciate it. Thanks.